Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our Shabbat Morning Service. Cantor Tillum has begun her sabbatical, and I figured it's an opportunity in general for me to find other very talented people from the congregation to fill in for her as cantorial soloist. But why not this first Shabbat morning of her sabbatical give me the chance to fly solo? So there's nobody at that podium. I don't think you're going to see that podium on live stream for the whole service, but I'm a highly trained professional. We'll see how it goes with me doing both the rabbi part and the cantor part of our service today. If you're watching us on live stream, I'd like to say Bruchim Habaim to you. The Siddur that we use on Shabbat morning is Mishkan Tefillah, and so if you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah at home, now's the time to bring it to your screen or your device so you can be a full participant following along with each and every song, prayer, and page number of our service today. And if you're watching us on live stream, I invite you to enter something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. Your name, your location, a Shabbat greeting, a New Year's greeting. It's all appropriate as we begin our service together. Posting those greetings will be a way of forming virtual community with others who are watching at the same time. We are going to begin. Oh, and welcome to everyone in the sanctuary. I think you've figured out where your Siddur is. It's right in front of you. And so we turn now to page 192. Page 192, as we begin our service with an opening song. Please join with me in singing Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani birov chastecha avo veitecha eshtachaveh el heichal kodshecha b'yiratecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha umekom mishkan kivodecha va'ani eshtachaveh ve'echra evrecha lifnei Adonai osi. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chastecha aneni ve'emet yishecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. We turn now to the blessing that thanks God for the miracle of the human body. It is found in translation in the middle of page 194. And following the blessing that thanks God for the body, we then praise God for the other aspect of our existence as human beings, the miracle of the soul. We read together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar, umafli la'asot. We turn the page and we read together the blessing for the soul. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher biado nefesh kol chai, veruach kol basar ish. We turn now to page 198, where we find the Nisim B'chol Yom, the blessings for our daily miracles. Each one is on a different theme of our existence, a different theme perhaps of our daily routine that we may take for granted. And so as we chant these, I invite you also to look in the margin of the even-numbered pages so that you can see the theme of each one of these short blessings. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sech vivina lehevchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten liya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheinam einai tnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betifara. We turn now to page 204, where we find the blessing for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. As we turn to page 206, we have a text in front of us that we often recite at this point in the service in fulfillment of the blessing. And I just wanted to point out that the text, both in Hebrew and in English, makes reference to the world to come. Now, the world to come is a very familiar Talmudic idea. It is the closest that the rabbis of the Talmud had to articulating their sense of what heaven or the afterlife would be. But I think it is the only place in the Siddur where the liturgy, at least in Mishkan Tefillah and the Reformed liturgy, where it makes a specific reference in the world to come. We live our lives as Jews primarily to make this life and this world a better, more satisfying, more connected life. And we work to create a world in God's image in this world. But it couldn't hurt to have a little extra incentive, I think. And so even after we have dealt with this other imagery of life and death, heaven and hell, as articulated in the Untitled Tokef, being written and sealed in the book of life, or God forbid that we wouldn't be written or sealed in the book of life, that is a specific set of metaphors that we apply to the high holidays, but it is not without precedent, because the precedent for this, that we would work hard in this world for additional fruits in the world to come, it comes from this text right here. I invite you to join with me. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We turn now to page 223. We read together, "You shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and psalms of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai, el melech gadol batish bachot, el hahodaot adon haniflaot, habocher b'shirei zimra, melech el chei haolamim. Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighting in song, eternal majesty." Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrachim rutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivorach, le'olam u'lo me'ol maya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha berichu, le'lamin kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'meru, amen. We turn now to page 226. Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam mechochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yafa'aru chasela. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'niskei chulana mehira le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light-blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol livavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al livavecha v'shinantam livanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'tem kiddoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hodseiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn down the Siddur to page 239. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Shira chadasha, shibechu geulim, l'shimcha, al sefat hayam, yachad kulam hodu ve'imlichu ve'ameru. Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. Sur Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufidei chinumecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, kedosh Yisrael. Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We turn now to page 242 in our Siddur. Please rise if you are able for the tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem Le'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mohorid Ha'atal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Baal Givurot Umido Melach Melech Meimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanat al hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol. Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam Kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom Kakatuv al yad nevi'echa v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzevaot Melochol haaretz kivodo Adir Adirenu, Adonai Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Haaretz. Baruch Kivod Adonai Mimekomo. Echad Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu. Hu Yashmeinu Brachamav La'inei Kol Chai Ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Elohayich Zion. Ledor vador, hallelujah. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha. Ule netzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish nakdish v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam leolam va'ed ledor vador ledor vador ledor vador nagid God lecha ledor vador ledor vador Ledor vador nagid God lecha Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Our service continues now on page 250. To honor Shabbat, we look to the middle of page 250, and please join with me in singing Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We turn now to page 252 in our Siddur. We continue now the theme of Kiddushat Hayom, first Vishamru, and now the paragraph on page 252. Each speak about the holiness and the sanctity of Shabbat using a different vocabulary, but both talk about how Shabbat enforces our connection to God. We read together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We turn now to our prayer for gratitude on page 257. I will read the English paragraphs, which are really poetry intended to broaden the way that we think about all the aspects of our universe that we are grateful for. And each paragraph goes in a different direction, but each is tied together at the end with three simple Hebrew words, which mean we give thanks to you, modim anachnu lach. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, modim anachnu lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, modim anachnu lach. We pray that we might live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. We turn now to page 259, and in the middle of the page we join together in a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael. Shalom. We take a moment now for Tefillat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this moment of introspection are found on pages 260 and 261. Oseh shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Our service continues now with our Torah service, Seder Kriyat Torah, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah, beginning on page 363. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. For its value is greater than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies. No treasure can match it. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise if you are able as we take the Torah from the Ark. Su she'arim ra'asheichem u'se'u pintchei olam yavo melech hakavod mihu ze melech hakavod Adonai Tzebaot Hu Melech HaKavod Selah. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai Iti, Uneromem Shemo Yachtav, Lecha Adonai Hagidula V'Hagivura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod Ki Chol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Ki Chol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha Ve'amit naseh lechol lirosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Hazin. And Moses sings a song, which, given his history saying, I'm a man who's slow of speech and doesn't want to speak to the Pharaoh, the fact that he's willing to speak to 600,000 plus people in verse, probably in song, is a pretty impressive development over 40 years. But he uses this very elegant imagery, that the covenant is an agreement between God and Israel. And so if at least metaphorically there are to be witnesses to the covenant, then the witnesses have to come from somewhere. And so he very deftly articulates heaven and earth as witnesses. After all, heaven and earth, yes, they are part of God's creation, and yet in many ways heaven and earth, especially from an Israelite's perspective, operate independently, right? You think about the clouds and the sunrise and the storms or the seasons, right? The heavens seem to have their own cycles and personality, and similarly with the earth, with the temperatures and earthquakes and dry seasons and rainy seasons, there would be certainly an argument to be made in the ancient world that the earth was its own independent entity. And even if you don't want to go that far, it's beautiful poetry. Give ear, O heavens, as I speak. And so Moses says some not nice things about the Israelites. Well, let me be more specific. Moses reminds the Israelites of the not nice things they have done. But to me, it's still an act of commitment. It's still an act of adoration. Because if he can remind the Israelites of the things that they have done that were wrong, then hopefully they will not repeat these mistakes when they're in the land of Israel, where they will have more responsibility, but they won't have Moses. And so this song is a way of reminding him that the covenant will still be in full force, but that they have a greater obligation to learn from their mistakes and move forward with greater responsibility in their next chapter. You can follow along as I chant from the opening verses of Parashat Hazin. It's found in the large blue Torah commentary books here in the sanctuary on page 1556. I have to find it for myself as well. And if you are watching us on live stream, then you can also find the same passage, the opening verses of Hazinu, on page 1400. Well, that's an even number. Page 1400 in the Revised Plaut Commentary. Who's doing the Aliyah?
1537.
That's Nitzavim. We're on Hazinu. That's okay. Okay, so it's Arthur. All right, to honor the Torah with the Aliyah, we call upon Arthur Lehrman. Arthur, let me just find my spot. Yeah, exactly. Okay, put your hand right there for me. Okay, make sure you can see your blessing. And I am ready.
Okay. Baruch Hu Adonai HaBaruch.
Baruch Adonai HaBaruch Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBaruch Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Ha'azinu Hashamayim Va'adabeira. V'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi, ya'arov kamatar likhi, tizal katal imrati, kasi'irim ale deshe v'chirvivim ale esev, ki shem Adonai ekra, havu godel leloheinu, hatsur tamim po'alo ki chol derachav mishpat, el emunah ve'en avel, Tzadik vayashar hu, shichet lo, banav mumam, dor ikesh uftal tohol, haladonai tigmaluzod, amnavel velo chacham, halohu avicha konecha, hu osecha, vayechoneneka.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emeth V'chayei Olam Nata B'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We continue now with the Mishaberach, which is found in the Siddur on page 371, our prayer for healing. If you are watching on live stream and you're thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to post their name in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And if you're here in the sanctuary and you are thinking of someone in need of healing, then I invite you to offer their name out loud or in your heart.
Sabrina Lerman.
The names of our temple members in need of healing and their loved ones will be seen on your screen in just a moment. Please join with me as together we join in the Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, which is found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you are able for Hagba and Galila. Just hang on a second. Okay, you get that? All right, Arthur. Yep. Yep. Okay, we're caught on that. There we go. Get all the way under it. Vizot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai k'ntzit biyad Moshe. Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Please be seated. I'm glad I have my A-team of Torah lifters and dressers here because, you know, you can't really speak instructions and sing Yai Lai Lai simultaneously. So I focused on the Yai Lai Lais. They didn't need any spoken instructions. Okay, we're ready for the Haftira portion. The Haftira comes from the book of 2 Samuel. You can find it in the Torah commentary here in the sanctuary on page 1600. And, well, the first page of it, it's long. The first page of it is on 1626. But we're going to pick up with the best part, which is the end, on page 1630. And if you are watching on live stream, the best part is on page 1416. And for those of us in Torah study, you might recognize that this is from 2 Samuel. You won't recognize it too much because Torah study is at 2 Samuel chapter 14, and this is 2 Samuel chapter 22, so we are approximately 8 weeks away from studying this. And there is not a lot of music in the David story. I mean, there's some in the sense that David first becomes known to the royal court for his musical ability, and he plays before King Saul, and he is able to soothe the king. Saul probably has some kind of mental illness, and David's music helps calm him. But this, I believe, is the only full song, full elegy in the book of Samuel, and it is David's victory song. So, he has survived many attempts a little bit later after his music, I guess, didn't work. He has survived many attempts by the paranoid Saul to capture or kill him. And then, of course, he becomes king. And so this song is David's victory song, picking up on those themes. And, of course, it is paired as our Haftira with Hazinu. Hazinu is Moses' song, and 2 Samuel 22 is David's song. Moses' song is mainly on the theme of, this is what you've done wrong and have to do better. David's song is mainly on the theme of, this is what I've done right, and God has rewarded me. So you could argue there are two sides of the same coin. Maybe there's more to contrast than there is to compare. But that having been said, it is long. We will study it in its entirety in a couple of months in Torah study. But for our purposes today, the best part is the end, as maybe it is for any concert or any song. You always want to have a big finish. And so I'm going to ask Linda Postganzer to read the Haftira, beginning with just the big finish at verse 47. So did they... yes, you can use this book, and there's your Siddur, and we're all ready.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim ba'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah Uv Moshe Avdo, Uv Yisrael Amo, Uv Inviei HaEmet Batzedek.
Amen.
They looked, but there was none to deliver to the Lord, but he answered them not. I pounded them like dust of the earth, stamped, crushed them like dirt of the streets. You have rescued me from the strife of peoples, kept me to be a ruler of nations. Peoples I knew not must serve me. Aliens have cringed before me, paid me homage at the mere report of me. Aliens have lost courage and come trembling out of their fastnesses.
Okay, so that was like the end of the middle right there, and now beginning 47.
Okay.
That's the big finish.
This is it. Okay. The Lord lives. Blessed is my rock. Exalted be God, the rock who gives me victory. The God who has vindicated me and made people subject to me, rescued me from my enemies, raised me clear of my foes, saved me from lawless men. For this I sing your praise among the nations and hymn your name. Tower of victory to his king, who deals graciously with his anointed, with David and his offspring evermore. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, rock of all creation, righteous one of all generations, the faithful God whose word is deed, whose every command is just and true. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat that you, Adonai our God, have given us. For holiness and rest, for honor and glory, we thank and bless you. May your name be blessed forever by every living being. Praise to you, Adonai, for the Sabbath and its holiness.
Amen. We continue now as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. Please turn in the Siddur to page 374, and please rise if you are able as we open the Ark. Okay. Oh, face the congregation first. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kirovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Eitz Chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tom cheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem. Oh yeah, please be seated. Okay, just a note to our volunteers in the live stream booth. It says we're doing the Aleinu next, but I'm going to give it Dvar Torah next. So you can sit back for a minute or two. From Moses to Moses, there was none like Moses. With these words, Moses Maimonides established that even to his time in the 12th century, there had never been a leader like Moses in the Torah. Parashat Hazin demonstrates some of Moses' tremendous skill. He uses poetry to remind people that though God loves them, they have not always returned that love. He uses the imagery of calling upon heaven and earth to be witnesses to the covenant. And he reminds the children of Israel that they are not children. It is the last major oration of Moses' life. After that, he blesses the tribes and he dies, receiving the honor of being buried by God so that no one knows his final resting place. As we reach this moment in Moses' story, and as we still reflect on the significance of the High Holy Days when our actions are scrutinized, I believe it is the perfect time to reflect on Moses' actions and legacy. Moses is known in Jewish history as Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher. His primary lesson in that role was having faith. Moses believed in God's ability to do right. Whether it was because God called to him from the burning bush, or because he was witness to God's might in contrast to Pharaoh's arrogant lies, Moses knew God could deliver on any promise. When the people complained because they were thirsty, he knew that God would provide water. When they wanted to turn around and go back to Egypt, he insisted that God's promise to bring them to their own land would be fulfilled. He was able to trust in God and to role model that trust to those around him. Moses refines that faith in the book of Deuteronomy. Early on in the Torah, the people are to follow God. God has redeemed them from slavery. God has made a covenant with them. But only as time goes on does Moses tell them to love God. In Deuteronomy, the requirements of the people evolve not just to follow God, but to worship God and God alone. The great statement of monotheism, the Shema, is in Deuteronomy, because now the relationship is not just obedience, but loyalty. In Exodus, Moses understood the people were afraid of God, but now their relationship with God must be based on love and commitment. As Moses speaks to them, he articulates this as the foundation of the relationship. Moses' legacy is also defined by his leadership skills. While he could confront Pharaoh and bring the people out of Egypt, there were things even Moses could not do. And with God's help, he recognized this. He could not be the secular leader and the religious leader at the same time, so he invests Aaron to serve as high priest. He could not lead the people into battle, so Joshua becomes the military commander. He cannot oversee the detailed construction of the tabernacle, so he appoints Bezalel and Oholiab. And with his father-in-law's help, he quickly realizes that he cannot judge all of the disputes, so he appoints judges to hear them, leaving only the most difficult cases for himself. And despite the fact that Moses delegated all of this authority, no one ever doubted that he was in charge. He was God's spokesman to them, and his decisions guided the people. Moses, of course, wasn't perfect. He shattered the first set of tablets. His sister and brother criticized him for not spending enough time with family. He struck the rock when the people were thirsty, and in doing so diminished God in the sight of the people. But even these flaws represent his commitment. He broke the tablets because he was shocked at the idolatry he saw. He spent very little time with family so he could stay pure and always be available to hear God's voice. And he struck the rock because even in his anger, he strove to give the people the water they so desperately asked for. He wasn't perfect. He was human. But even in his mistakes, there are lessons for us to learn. Moses, the man who was slow of speech, sings to the people as a way of inspiring them to be their best selves. But it was not only this song that conveyed the message, but 4 decades of leadership from Egypt to the edge of the Promised Land. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with the Aleinu. The Aleinu is found in the Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latekedu laleotzer breshit shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu kor'im umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. Please be seated. We continue at this time with a reading to introduce the Mourners Kaddish. That reading is found in the Siddur on page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning. Frida Fisher, remembered by Temple Emeth. Alice Rubin, mother of Jamie Rubin. Gary Janae, brother of Bruce Janae and brother-in-law of Barbara Finkelstein. And Michael Goodman, Temple member and father father of Danielle Foyer. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week: Lydia Adler, Samuel Becker, Joyce Rosenberg Becker, Naomi Berman, Alvin Breslow, Saul Bresnick, Sidney Broder, Edith Siegel Dickstein, Richard Fisher, Herman Fleischman, Irma Goldberg Klein, Bessie Goodman, Abraham Haber, Dorothy Haber, Jerome Haber, Matilda Handler, Rita Hantman, Sarah Hirsch, Max Hirschfelder, Amelia Kahn, Peter Kelly, Samuel Klein, Mary Kopoloff, Michael H. Lieb, Anna Levenstein, Samuel Levin, Joseph Lieberman, John T. Lupatin, Alexis Melanie Moros, Saul Paul, Jeanette Rellis, Justin Rolfe, Joseph Sanders, Faye Staffen, Moses Soltzer, James Clinton Taylor, Elise Wasserman, Martin Wieselberg, Reuben Weisbard, and Pearl Winters. Remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Thomas Eisendorfer of Hungary, age 12. Paul Eisendorfer of Hungary, age 15. Abba Einbinder of Poland, age 11. Teresa Eilenberg of France, age 8. Marcelli Eggert of Poland, age 15. And Chaya Edelman of Poland, age 12. We remember as well the victims in the child care center in Thailand who died in the massacre earlier this week. We pray for all of them. We remember them and take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now to page 598. Please rise if you are able for the life-affirming words of the Mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivorach le'olam u'almei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitzromam v'yitznasei, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Elaine Nissen, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and no shortage of announcements.
He's right. I've done this a number of times, and it's the first time it's 2 pages. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our Shabbat morning service. We look forward to seeing everyone in person and online for Sukkot. Religious school families who have registered for pizza in the hut are reminded to join us at the Temple Emeth Sukkah this Sunday evening at 5:30. Our annual Erev Sukkot and Bereshit beginning service will be held afterwards in person and on live stream. Stay for a post-service oneg. Our friends at Temple Emeth in Temple Sinai in Tenafly will host a collaborative festival morning service in person and on Zoom starting at 10:30 on Monday. Those who attend in person are invited to enjoy a Kiddush lunch in the Temple Sinai Sukkah. All ages are invited to this event. COVID vaccines are not required. Please be sure to read this week's email for links to both online services. Looking forward, Temple Emeth invites you to our annual Rabbi Joshua Trachtenberg Memorial Lecture to be held this year on Friday, October 14th, this coming Friday. Professor Lisa Leff will tell the story of Zosa Szakowski, a Polish-born Jewish historian who took Jewish documents from France in the 1940s and 50s and moved them to New York. A Shabbat dinner will precede the program at 6 p.m. If you're interested in that dinner, it officially closed on Friday, but Elaine Pollack will take emails of reservations and you can work out with leaving the money for it. Those dinners are always wonderful, and it's a return to normalcy.
Yes.
To be able to have it this year is quite a celebration. So please try to come. They're always really great. The next Biachad breakfast is on Sunday, October 23rd, and features the film 50 Children, The Rescue Mission of Mr. and Mrs. Krauss. It's about the heroic rescue of Jewish children from Nazi Germany by a couple from Philadelphia, I believe. The film is presented in conjunction with our One Book, One Synagogue book, The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Hamel. If you haven't done so already, the Strategic Planning Committee encourages you to complete the questionnaire that can be found on the website. And for the first time up here, I'll turn the page. Any time is a great time to join our adult choir. There's no audition, although they sound very good. You just have to want to make music. Contact Carol Shansky for more information. Finally, the Paul S. Lazar Caring Committee is looking for volunteers. Please pick up and complete the volunteer card, which is available in the lobby, and also in the September bulletin to let us know how you can help. Thank you to this morning's volunteers in the live stream control room. Barbara Balkin and Pauline Hecht are there this morning. Thank you, thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Our closing song this morning is found in the Siddur on page 625. On page 625, we join together in singing Adon Olam. Hey, I got one of those Siddurim that's missing, page 625. Be right back. There was one box of Siddurim, I mean, this is over 10 years ago, that was missing, the folios, the way the books are bound together. There's like folios, each one is about 24 pages, and there was one group of them that was missing that folio that included page 625. Let's see if this prayer book has it. All right, this one has every page. Please join with me. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Be'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Behu haya, behu hove, behu yiyeh betifara, behu echad ve'ein sheni, lehamshil lo lehachbira, beli reshit, beli tachlit, Velo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eli ve'chai go'ali b'tzur chevli bi'et sara behunisi umanos li, minat kosi biyom ekra, biyado afkid ruchi, biyeti shan be'aira, be'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira. We turn now to the Kiddush. Please rise. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. And we join together in the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We've reached the end of our service. If you've been watching us on live stream, it is your last chance to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And here in the sanctuary, we conclude our service by turning to one another and saying, Shabbat Shalom.